What's up, YouTube? It's Kevin here, the Migraine Guy, bringing you a video in a new series today about product reviews. Today's product to review is an application called Migraine Buddy. So Migraine Buddy is an application that's available for Android and iOS devices. It's very useful for tracking. That's what its primary functionality is designed around, is helping migraine sufferers track different aspects of their migraine. And so that's why I want to get this video review out there, is because it's such a useful tool as an app that you can have on your smartphone. You can have it basically anywhere that you're at and can record all of the relevant things that you need to record about your migraine. So let's get started. This is the basic screen that you'll see after you install. You can either sign in with a pre-existing account if you have one. Otherwise, like most people, you want to create a new account. You can either create an account directly with Migraine Buddy. You can input an email and password you want to associate with the account, or you can use your Facebook or Google credentials to sign in. I'm going to go ahead and use my Facebook credentials by clicking sign up with Facebook. Now, I do have a pre-existing account with Migraine Buddy, and so if this was your actual first time signing in, you would need to actually use your Facebook password to sign in to let Facebook know that this app was authorized to use your Facebook account. So now here's the basic home screen. There's a number of options that you can use this app for, different things you can do with it. I'm going to focus on the tracking your migraine portion, both because I think that's probably the most common or most popular use for this app, but also because I think there are some things that need to be changed. And I know that some of the developers who are working on this app are subscribed to my YouTube channel, and so I want to make them aware that I think that there are some things that need to be made slightly better, some things that could be changed about the migraine tracking portion of the app. So we're going to go ahead and do what the app recommends. When you first sign in, you'll see this screen, and it's going to have this little pop-up dialog here that tells you to try the app by recording test migraine, so you can be familiar with how the app works. And that's a nice function, so we're going to go ahead and do it. So we'll click record a migraine. And the first option here is the time option. You get to tell the app when the migraine started and when it ended, if it has ended. So let's go ahead and just say, what is it now? It's 1:53. So we'll go ahead and say that it started at 9:50, let's say 9:45 a.m. And let's say that it hasn't ended yet. We'll click next, and we get to rate the pain intensity. And it's not just a numeric scale. There is some descriptive content to it. So a 9 would be excruciating, and I'd be unable to do any activities because of the pain. Let's move down to a 5. That's typically where my migraines are. Unable to do some activities, but I can still do some other activities, though it does hurt. Now I get to isolate where in my head the pain started. This is the first part of the application that I think needs to be addressed, is that migraine pain doesn't just start in the head. And so that's something that should be addressed. There should be probably a full body anatomy here where I can talk about where pain starts. For some people, they get abdominal cramping. Other people get kind of numbness or tingling. And so if that's how it starts, then that's the kind of information you'd want to be able to record at this portion of the tracking process, rather than isolating it to just the head. Because the head is going to be, most identified with the headache portion of your migraine, but that's not necessarily the first part of your migraine that's going to be associated with pain. So let's just go ahead and kind of stick with what they've got here. So let's say it started on the right side of my head. Next, we get to move on and say which medications, either over-the-counter or prescriptive, that we took. We have everything from Excedrin and ibuprofen all the way down to Maxalt and sumatriptan. So it's got some of the more popular over-the-counter meds, as well as some of the more popular prescription meds. That's great. Here is where my second criticism starts, is that let's say I took a sumatriptan that day. I don't get to input, despite the fact that it's a pre-filled out medication option, I don't get to put in the milligram dosage. Whereas if I click add new, I do get to fill in milligram dosage. So that is a weird function. They're a weird oddity. A weird oddity. That is a weird thing about the app to me, is that I don't get to actually tell the app of the pre-filled in medication options what the milligram dosage was, precisely because milligram dosage is one of the most important aspects of medication tracking for migraine sufferers. And so that is certainly something I would want to see in an updated version of the app, is the ability to tell not only that I took Excedrin, but how much Excedrin. Next, we move on to non-medication relief options. So when I noticed that the migraine was starting, or perhaps after it was very intense, did I go to a dark room to rest? Did I put an ice pack on my head? Did I take a cold shower and drink some water? All of those are good options to have, and of course, if I want to add more options, I can. Here's my third criticism of the app, something that I hope gets changed, is that it says, are you experiencing any of these symptoms? Now, one thing that I don't quite know is, what does that mean? If you're a migraine sufferer who's familiar with some of the medical terminology, you know that there's roughly 4 stages to your migraine. There's the prodrome, the aura, the pain stage, and then the postdrome phase. And so what symptoms am I supposed to be cataloging here? All symptoms that I've noticed? The prodrome symptoms? What? And the reason I'm confused is because the next step is to record, as you can see here in this orange button, the aura symptoms. And so does that mean that these are the prodrome symptoms? I'm just a little confused. But let's pretend that I know, and let's just say it's all symptoms. So pounding pain, pulsating pain, and blurred vision. Let's just say that those are the symptoms that I've overall experienced, not isolating them to the prodrome phase. So now we go to the aura phase. This is the second phase of migraine. Let's say that I'm having excessive yawning, maybe my neck's tingling, and visual disturbances. And of course, if there's anything lacking here, as you can see in the orange plus button, you can add new aura symptoms. Then the next part of the app asks you to say how it affected any activities you were planning on engaging in. So were you going to go to school, or maybe you woke up while you were sleeping, maybe you couldn't even look at your smartphone because of the screen brightness, even on the lowest setting. Those are all good options. And of course, there's an orange plus button to add new activities that were hindered by your migraine. And then the next step is to just kind of isolate where you were when the migraine started. So were you at home? Were you out and about outside? Were you laying down in bed? Or, of course, the orange plus button if you weren't in any of those places and you need to add a place. The next part is a little bit of guesswork, but it is labeled as guesswork. So it's just asking you to figure out if there's anything that you noticed that you may have done to trigger, or anything that was going on at the time that your migraine was triggered. So let's just say that I had neck pain and I noticed that there was a storm coming, so there were some barometric pressure changes. Next. Now, of the relief actions that I listed about 5 menus ago, did I notice that any of those helped? Here's another criticism I have, is that I don't quite know what it means for me to say that, say, drinking water and Rel packs helped, but ice packs and Excedrin didn't help. Because for the typical migraine sufferer, they're going to be taking a lot of these, quote, relief options pretty rapidly. Pretty much within a close time frame. If I notice, for example, that I'm starting to get a migraine, and I notice also that I haven't had a lot of water to drink, I'm probably going to pound some water and take a cold shower, and then come out of the cold shower with an ice pack on my neck and pop some medication. So I don't exactly know how I'm supposed to isolate, say, ice packs, water, and sumatriptan apart from cold shower and Excedrin. So maybe a little more fine-grained distinctions here, or maybe not even having this option, because it's really hard for me as a migraine sufferer to know how I get to delineate which of the relief actions helped and which ones didn't. And again, this is the same side of the different side of the same coin here. How do I know which did not of the relief options? So I'm just going to skip that. But, you know, those criticisms that I've offered aside, you do get this nice summary at the end. It gives you the list of everything you've entered, and typically the weather option here gives you barometric pressure. I don't know why it's not doing it now, but we'll just go ahead and ignore that. Typically, it gives you current weather, temperature, whether or not it's raining, and barometric pressure, which is a nice option. And then it just gives you the option to review all of the information you've inputted and change it if you want. But we'll go ahead and say that the information is correct and hit confirm. Now, as you notice at the very beginning of when I was inputting the time that the migraine started, I didn't give an end time, and so now the app's just wanted to make sure that I'm currently having that migraine. I'll click yes. And now we're done inputting information relative to that particular migraine, the migraine I'm currently going through, the pretend migraine I'm currently going through, which, as we all know, is the best kind of migraine. So that's it for the tracking function, the specific tracking function that the app offers. There's a lot more here. There's a reports tab, a buddies tab, triggers, and all sorts of information there, as well as lots of information in here that I haven't had a chance to get to. But none of that's quite relevant to the main functionality of the app as it is. The main functionality of the app revolves around its ability for you to input lots and lots of information relevant to the migraine that you're going through. And so in that aspect, I think the app is an invaluable tool for migraine sufferers. And so I encourage you to download it and use it for maybe just a week or two. And if you don't find it valuable, you can, of course, uninstall it. But if you do find it valuable, hopefully you'll leave the developers some information on the either Apple App Store or the Google Play Store in the review section about future features that you'd want the app to offer, as well as features of the current app that you don't want. That's the only way the app gets better, is if the community that uses it gives the developers feedback. So it's really important that we do that. And that's all I have for today. So I will talk to you later, guys. Bye.